Hello and welcome to the Volunteer Orientation presentation for the 2019 International Seating Symposium. My name is Carl Kemmerer, and you'll see me around at ISS. I am the Continuing Education Coordinator here for our department at the University of Pittsburgh. Also helping out on this presentation is Dawn Hameline, who is the Volunteer Coordinator at ISS, and presenting with me today is Joe Stratman.
Thanks, Carl. And I'm an occupational therapist, and I work at the UPMC Center for Assistive Technology, as well as help out with the University of Pittsburgh Rehab Science and Technology Department.
Some other important names and faces to know. This is Mark Schmaler. He is the head of our department and director of the ISS. Megan Wander is also an important coordinator for ISS, so you'll see her around throughout the week. Bethany Semanchik here also coordinates a lot of the ISS. Rich Shane is one of our assistant professors, and Joe Ruffing is kind of our IT specialist for the event.
The conference begins with pre-conference workshops. These are on Monday and Tuesday, the 18th and the 19th. This is different than the rest of the conference because this has separate registrations. These are full and half-day workshops. They're led by specific teams with their own staff and volunteers. You may not be needed to help out with this part of the conference, but if you are, just know that this is separate from the main conference. Tuesday, March 19th has Community Day, and that is where the exhibit hall is open from 1 to 8 for Pittsburgh consumers and families to come in and see what the conference is all about. On Wednesday, this is when the main symposium begins. Breakfast will be outside of the keynote at 7:30 in the morning. The keynote presentation will be from 8:30 to 10. Instructional courses, or ICs, will be from 10:15 to 11:15. These run about an hour long. Poster sessions will be from 11:30 to 1, and there will be a walkabout lunch in the exhibit hall. Instructional courses will resume after lunch, and they'll run about an hour long, starting at 1, 2:15, and 3:30. The welcome reception will be in the exhibit hall at 4:30, and that'll go until 7:30 on Wednesday. Thursday is day 2 of the main symposium, and breakfast will be again served at 7:30 in the morning near the exhibit hall. Morning plenary sessions will be from 8:30 to 10. Instructional courses will run from 10:15 to 10:30. Walkabout lunch again in the exhibit hall, similar to the first day, will be from 12:30 to 2. And then instructional courses will resume after lunch at 2, 3:15, and at 4:30. Thursday evening, we'll have the ISS 1 party at Heinz Field. You guys are welcome to attend. This does have an extra cost associated with it, but this is a fun event that you guys can come out and socialize with attendees at the conference and everybody else that will be coming out. Friday is day 3 of the main symposium, and breakfast again at 7:30 in the morning, followed by instructional courses from 8:30 until 9:45, and then at 11 a.m. to 12:30, the closing keynote speaker will be in the Spirit of Pittsburgh room. Exhibit hall hours, be familiar with when the exhibit hall will be open because you'll be likely asked a lot of questions regarding these. On Tuesday, that is our community day, and the exhibit hall will be open from 1 to 8. Wednesday, the second day, it'll be open from 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., and this will include the welcome reception from 4:30 to 7:30. We would invite you guys to attend all of this. This would be a great opportunity for you guys to meet and network with a lot of new people. Thursday, the exhibit hall will be open from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Friday will be a little bit shortened. It'll be from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
So now we're going to talk more about the actual procedure for the volunteers, now that you're familiar with the schedule. So first of all, you're going to want to dress business casual or business formal. If you're planning on doing some networking, I'd recommend going a little more business formal, but make sure you are wearing comfortable clothes and comfortable shoes, because it will be a pretty long day with a lot of walking and moving around. Please leave plenty of travel time. This includes both getting to and from the convention center itself, but also getting from place to place within the convention center. We'll be talking more about the actual layout and some maps of the convention center later, so you'll be able to familiarize yourself with that. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you arrive is report to the check-in booths. So when you go up the main escalators, take a left and follow the signs, and you'll be able to talk to someone and let them know you're a volunteer checking in. You'll then be directed to the volunteer office area where you will check in with Dawn, and she'll give you additional instructions. So she'll give you your volunteer badge and all that material. You'll have your schedule in advance, but you can grab another one in the volunteer office if you'd like, and then you'll know what your assignments are. And we advise you to get to each assignment 10 to 15 minutes early, because that's when sometimes the presenters could use some help getting things set up, and that's a pretty important couple of minutes before the presentation starts. And as always, we recommend that you network and learn, both with the other volunteers and some of the presenters and other professionals at the conference. So here's a sample schedule. This is from a previous ISS, so it'll be a little bit different this coming year, but it's the same basic layout. You can see the time of each session is over here on the left. The program ID is next to that. The title of the session itself is next to that. And then over on the far right, you can see what the location is. So those are really important to know exactly where you're going and when you need to get there. We're going to talk about these duties in just a minute, but the moderator is listed here. And then these monitors are actually going to be called attendants, but that's a very important job for volunteers. So you'll find your name probably in this row and figure out where you have to go and when. So firstly, you might be asked to help out during the registration area. Most of our attendees are pre-registered. They registered online, so they'll actually get to the conference and then do a self-check-in at these virtual kiosks with iPads. If someone needs to do on-site registration, they'll go to an in-person booth that we have, and volunteers will also check in at the in-person booth. So that's the first thing you're going to want to do when you arrive. Now, if you're helping out in the registration area, this is throughout the entire conference, but you will want to find Megan and be assigned a station. So you might be tasked with handing out name badges or welcome packets. You might just be answering questions, giving directions, kind of moving people around. Some of you will be standing around the self-check-in kiosks, so you'll be able to help users with that. So you will want to familiarize yourself with that virtual process. You also want to refer attendees to the 2019 ISS app for general info. We'd recommend you download this app as well. It's just ISS 2019. It can be found in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. So you can tell attendees that they can download this, that it's general info about times and locations for different sessions and some networking kind of social media aspects. You also might be asked to help with registration during Community Day, which, as you remember, is Tuesday in the afternoon and early evening. So moderators here is typically a presenter or one of our professional colleagues. So they're usually not one of the regular volunteers, but they are an important helpers, so you will want to familiarize yourself with their jobs. They'll introduce the speaker. They'll generally provide the continuing education unit code after the session. And when you arrive at each session, you'll want to introduce yourself to these people. You also just might have to help out directing traffic and giving directions. So you want to familiarize yourself with the Convention Center layout of the DLCC, or David Lawrence Convention Center. Basically, you'll be assigned a general area, and you'll answer questions and direct attendees to the right places.
Many of you will be attendants, and this is the most common volunteer assignment. Before the session starts, we will want to stress that you guys show up early to the volunteer check-in. That way you guys can pick up the packets that you need to from Dawn and head to your sessions early. That way you can provide any assistance that you may need, or that the speaker or moderator may need from you guys. It's always a good idea to introduce yourself to both the speaker and the moderator. Ask if they need any assistance with anything, or if the moderator would like to give the CEU code. If they aren't going to give the CEU code, the volunteers should, and this will be in the packet that you guys pick up from Dawn. You can help direct people to their seats, make sure the doors don't slam when they come in, make sure doors are closed once the session begins. While the session is in progress, we'd like for you guys to get a head count of how many people are actually attending the presentation. If there's anything that goes wrong with audio or visual, like with connections with microphones or anything like that, There are going to be AV crews with Media Quest that are going to be around. If you can just contact them and let them know that something may be going on, that way the speaker doesn't have to stop their presentation to go find somebody. If there are mics that are going to be passed around during question and answer sessions, make sure the mics are available and that you can take them to people who may have questions or to the people that need them. We also like for you guys to come up with multiple choice questions, and this is for the continuing education piece of these presentations. The sessions that are in the Spirit ballrooms will be recorded for later use, and so we like to have multiple choice questions for viewers to refer to these questions and make sure that we know that they're actually watching these sessions. Also, it's a good idea to notify the presenter when there's 5 minutes left in the session, 1 minute, and no minutes remaining to kind of give them an idea. Please stick around until the session is completely over with. That way, if there's any assistance that may need to be provided, you guys can be around to help. After the session is done, take the folder that you brought with you to the session back to Dawn. This folder should contain the CEU code, the head count of how many people were in the session, and any other multiple choice questions that you and your volunteer partner may have come up with. And then once again, this is for the Spirit ballrooms, as these sessions will be recorded. To go into a little more detail about the multiple choice questions, like we said, these will be posted online for people to view later on. Do your best to come up with questions based on what you guys are seeing on the slides in the presentation. Some of them may have handouts, which can also be useful tools for you guys to come up with questions. If there's going to be multiple volunteers in the room, you guys can kind of tag team it and to try and come up with the questions. If multiple choice is too difficult, you can use true and false, or even if multiple choice you can only come up with 2 or 3 answers, that's fine, just so we can get some questions for these recorded sessions. And these questions that you guys come up with should be back in that folder that you return to Dawn at the end. If there is any sort of audiovisual snafus or anything that goes wrong, we don't expect you guys to fix them, but we do ask you guys to get the people that are in charge of fixing that to come to the room and make sure that they know what's going on. And Media Quest is the company that will be there providing that assistance. Report any issues that are happening to the registration desk or to Dawn or Megan. During question and answer sessions, make sure the microphones are near where the people that are going to be asking questions are. You may have to walk it to them or make sure that they're turned on in the aisles. If there is any sort of lights that need to be dimmed or turned off during any part of the session, make sure you know where the light switches are if necessary to do those things for the speaker.
So now we'll talk a little bit more about the layout of the David Lawrence Convention Center. Obviously, some places that you're going to need to know are the entrances, how to get from there to the registration area. We'll show you where the volunteer office is. We'll point out the exhibit hall, which is important because that's open during a lot of the conference, and it also will provide lunch as well as dinner during that welcome session or welcome reception. The Spirit ballrooms are where our main keynote and plenary sessions are taking place. We'll show you where the other session rooms for instructional courses are, and it's important to know where restrooms and elevators are because you'll probably receive a lot of questions about those locations. So this is the first floor ground level of the convention center. First of all, this is the entrance for parking. So if you or any attendees are planning on parking at the convention center, you'll pull into this area. Here you can see the west and east lobbies. Both of these will be open. As soon as you go in, you'll just go straight up these escalators or elevators that you can see in front of you. They'll take you up to the second level here. So you'll come up from the escalators right here, take a left to get to this concourse area, which is where our registration booth and check-in kiosks are going to be. Then you'll be directed as a volunteer over here to the volunteer office. So our exhibit hall is going to be in Hall B and Hall C. So in order to get to this volunteer office over here, you'll actually go into the exhibit hall and then up through Hall C to get to the main volunteer room here. Right here you can see where we have our elevators in case you get questions about that. And then, of course, we have bathrooms in the main concourse area as well as in the back of the exhibit hall. Now, in order to get to the instructional courses and everything else, you're going to want to go up one more floor, either on the elevators or escalators, and then actually you'll turn around and walk across this main visitor corridor. That'll take you to this other concourse area, and you'll be able to find the Spirit Ballroom. Again, this is where our plenary sessions and keynote speakers are going to be. Our main instructional courses are going to be here in rooms 301 over to 321, and we're also going to have some instructional courses up here on the other side in rooms 323 to 336. So you can just familiarize yourself with those rooms kind of going in order. Also, this is where your restrooms and elevators are, so you'll want to familiarize yourself with those locations too. There's also a fourth floor to the convention center. We don't have anything going on up there, but just in case anyone does get confused, you'll want to refer them to that second and third floor, which is where most of our event is taking place. We also want to tell you a little bit about the downtown area immediately around the LCC. You'll probably get some questions about that. If anybody asks about a business center, that's right across the street in the first floor of the Westin Hotel. So that has a post office, coffee machines, and things like that that some of the professionals might be looking for. You might get some questions about restaurants as well. We'll show you the Cultural District. Penn and Liberty are the two main streets there. Market Square also has some restaurants. And we'll tell you how to get to and from Heinz Field, which is where our main social event is going to take place. So we'll show you how to walk. You can take the subway, you can drive, or we do want to mention that you can do ride shares like Lyft and Uber. So this is sort of a zoomed out version of downtown Pittsburgh. You can see up here in the top right is the convention center. Right across the street from that is the Westin Hotel, so that has things like your ATMs and your business center. This is Penn Avenue and Liberty Avenue. That's called the Cultural District. There's a lot of restaurants, coffee shops, things like that you might want to stop by. And down here a little further is Market Square, which also has restaurants and shops that people might want to check out. So here on the left side, you can see Heinz Field, and on the right, you can see the Convention Center. If you're taking the subway, or the T as we call it, you'll want to walk down Penn Avenue, or out here to Penn Avenue, then down Penn Avenue to the Wood Street subway station. Take that 2 stops going towards the North Shore, and that'll let you off right outside of Heinz Field. You can also walk to Heinz Field if you'd like. It's about a 25, 30-minute walk. So you'll go right along this river walk, across one of these bridges, and then continue on this river walk to get to Heinz Field. If you or any attendees are driving, or if you're taking a Lyft or Uber or anything, it's a pretty simple drive. You'll just come down the street here, cross into the North Shore, and then park anywhere around Heinz Field. Just a little bit more about transportation. I do want to reemphasize, you can drive and park downtown, but that's not free, and we're not reimbursing parking. So we would recommend that you, if possible, walk, bus, take a bike, take a Lyft or an Uber, and keep in mind that lots and lots and lots of public transportation in Pittsburgh goes in and out of downtown, so that should be pretty simple if you would want to take a bus and public transportation.
And as always, we recommend that you wear your badge at all times throughout the conference. That way people know who you are and your volunteer status at the exhibit hall and at the conference. We invite you guys to explore the exhibit hall and spend some time seeing what the different vendors have, meet new people. We invite you to come to the social event as well, which doesn't have an additional fee, but this is going to be another great way for you guys to meet new people in a new area. It's going to be at Heinz Field, which is a really cool place to be. And like we've mentioned many times before, this is a great opportunity for you guys to network and learn. There'll be a lot of representatives from vendors, manufacturers, universities at this conference. So introduce yourself, meet people, see what they have to offer, and you never know what it could lead to. I know me personally, I had volunteered at this conference twice before, and it led to me having the job that I have today. So take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. And we also encourage you guys to, in between sessions that you guys are volunteering for, go to something else that you may not have signed up for, and see if another volunteer couldn't make it, and ask Dawn if she needs any additional help. just kind of put yourself out there and just get involved with this conference as much as you can.
So thank you for listening. Let us know if you have any questions. There's the contact information for both me and Joe. Our main website with information is seatingsymposium.us. Also, I'd encourage you to download the ISS 2019 app with a lot of general information. If you have volunteer questions specifically for Dawn, there's her contact information as well. And our department's email is rstceteam@rstce.org. Thank you for listening.